What if I told you that for someone over the age of 65, simply tripping on a curb and breaking a hip carries up to a 1 in 3 chance of death within a single year?
Yeah, and of the people who actually survive that kind of fall, 50% never regain their previous level of independence. They just spend the rest of their lives relying on others.
It's terrifying. I mean, we are so hyper obsessed with living longer, like adding years to a video game high score, but we completely ignore the physiological armor required to actually survive those years.
Right? It exposes this massive blind spot in how modern society views aging. We fear the final curtain, but we don't spend a fraction of our energy preparing for the final act.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are talking about the science, the biology, and really the sheer art of longevity, moving beyond just merely surviving to actually thriving in the later stages of life.
And our mission today is centered around a massive stack of material, primarily the groundbreaking book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia.
Today, we'll explore 7 of the book's biggest lessons. After every lesson, we'll also learn one small practical habit you can begin today. Let's begin with key takeaway number 1.
Right, so key takeaway number 1 is essentially the trap of medicine 2.0 versus the promise of medicine 3.0. Because to understand how to live better, you first have to understand why our current medical system is, well, keeping us alive, but letting us slowly fall apart.
Yeah, Dr. Attia draws this fascinating historical line. He calls our current setup medicine 2.0, which, if you rewind to the late 1800s or early 1900s, human life expectancy was hovering right around 50 years old.
Exactly. You didn't typically die of old age back then. You died from what he calls fast deaths. A simple scratch could lead to a fatal bacterial infection.
Oh, wow, yeah. Or a bout of the flu.
Right, influenza, traumatic injuries, astronomical infant mortality. Medicine 2.0 emerged in the 20th century as an absolute triumph. Antibiotics, vaccines, modern surgery, they basically cured those fast deaths.
But the irony is, because we survived the microscopic threats, we inadvertently traded them for a brand new problem. We traded them for slow deaths.
Yeah, the chronic conditions. Attia refers to them as the 4 horsemen: cardiovascular disease, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, and metabolic dysfunction like type 2 diabetes.
And these don't just happen overnight, right? They're the result of decades of compounding microscopic damage, which is where medicine 2.0 utterly fails us.
Completely fails us because it's fundamentally reactive. It waits until the disease has taken root and symptoms become catastrophic before it intervenes.
It's like bailing water out of a sinking boat with a bucket. You're waiting until the hull is already breached and actively filling with water to finally do something.
Right, waiting for a heart attack to treat decades of plaque buildup. It steps in way too late.
Yeah.
So Medicine 3.0 is pulling that boat out of the water, inspecting the hull, and reinforcing it decades before a stress fracture becomes a hole. It's proactive.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 1. Shift your mindset by auditing your health today.
Okay, how do we do that?
Look at your last routine blood panel. Are you just waiting for your doctor to flag a red, diseased state? Or are you actively looking for early warning signs of decline? Anyone can just pull up their lab results today and ask, how can I optimize these numbers now instead of waiting for an emergency?
That makes total sense. Now let's move to key takeaway number 2.
Key takeaway number 2 is all about squaring the longevity curve and avoiding the myth of Tithonus. Because a lot of people misunderstand medicine 3.0. The goal is not immortality. We aren't trying to live to be 150.
Right. The true objective is delaying the onset of chronic disease as long as possible, pushing the decline to the very end of life.
Exactly. Squaring the longevity curve.
Yeah.
Because living to 120 isn't a prize if the last 30 years are spent bedridden and heavily medicated.
Which brings up that brilliant Greek myth from the book, The Myth of Tithonus. He was a mortal warrior who asked the gods for eternal life, and they gave it to him.
But he forgot to ask for eternal youth.
Right. So he was granted eternal life, but his body just continuously decayed. He shrank, his mind deteriorated, but he was trapped in this rotting shell forever.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale. Attia argues that many people today are living a medicalized version of that myth. We've used technology to extend chronological lifespan, the ticking of the clock, but we haven't extended health span.
And health span is much more robust than just not being in a hospital. It's your physical, cognitive, and emotional health. When those collapse, you enter what Attia calls the marginal decade.
The final 10 years of a person's life. He shares this incredibly personal epiphany from a funeral. A friend's parent, Sophie, had passed away, and people were relieved she didn't linger in severe dementia.
But Attia realized her actual functional death happened a full decade earlier, right?
Yeah, she spent her marginal decade stripped of her identity. She loved golf and gardening, but physical frailty forced her to abandon them. She retreated from life long before her heart stopped.
So biological decline is malleable, even if aging isn't. So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 2. Define your marginal decade.
Like, write it down.
Yes, take 5 minutes today and visualize the last 10 years of your life. Do you want to be traveling, playing with grandkids, or just able to get out of a chair? Writing it down makes the abstract threat of aging very real, and anyone can do it right now.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 3.
Key takeaway number 3 is the centenarian decathlon and understanding the vital difference between training and exercising.
Because, I'll be honest, actively preparing for a decade we can't even visualize yet feels really abstract. It's hard to get motivated when you're 40.
Oh, completely. The human brain is terrible at prioritizing long-term invisible threats. So Attia's psychological hack is to treat the rest of your life like an elite athlete training for a highly specific event.
Which means we have to stop just exercising and start training.
Right. Exercising is what most people do. You jog, you burn calories, you sweat. It's inherently good, but it lacks a targeted biological purpose. Training is movement structured entirely around a specific end goal.
A javelin thrower doesn't just jog to prepare for the Olympics. They train the exact biomechanics of throwing a javelin.
Exactly. And we need to do the same thing for our aging bodies using the centenarian decathlon. It's a visualization exercise where you pick the 10 most important physical tasks you want to be capable of doing in your marginal decade.
And the examples in the book are so specific. Picking a 30-pound grandchild out of a crib, carrying groceries up steep stairs, hiking in Bali, or literally just getting up off the floor under your own power.
And you have to train those specific movement patterns today. If you want to hike in Bali at 80, that requires serious eccentric and concentric strength in your legs. If you don't train those biological braking systems today, the neuromuscular pathways literally vanish. It's use it or lose it.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 3. Build your own centenarian decathlon list today.
Just brainstorm the 10 tasks.
Yes. Write down the 10 physical movements you absolutely refuse to give up. It completely changes your relationship with the gym. You aren't just burning calories anymore. You're on a highly specific training mission.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 4.
Key takeaway number 4. The ultimate longevity drug, which is VO2 max.
So if we're reverse engineering this decathlon, this is the hard biological metric we have to prioritize, right?
Without a doubt. VO2 max is cardiorespiratory fitness. It's the absolute ceiling of your body's ability to pull oxygen from the air, pump it through your blood, and use it in your cells to produce energy.
It's basically the size of your cellular engine, and the statistics tying it to lifespan are just staggering.
They really are. If you take someone on the bottom 25% of VO2 max and compare them to someone in the elite top 2.5%.
The person in the bottom tier has a 400% higher risk of all-cause mortality over a decade. That's a 5 times difference in the likelihood of dying.
It's wild. Nothing else compares. Not smoking, not obesity, not diabetes. High cardiorespiratory fitness is definitively the single greatest predictor of human lifespan.
But you don't have to be an elite Olympian to get the benefits, right?
No, not at all. Just taking a sedentary person from the bottom quarter and training them to reach the middle, 50% cuts their mortality risk completely in half.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 4. Add 1 session of Zone 2 cardio to your week.
What does Zone 2 actually look like?
It's just a steady, moderate intensity workout. A brisk 30-minute walk or a light jog where you can barely hold a conversation. It builds the base of that cellular engine, and it requires zero fancy equipment to start today.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 5.
Key takeaway number 5 is muscle mass and strength, and specifically avoiding the catastrophic fall.
Because if VO2 max is the size of the engine, our muscles and bones are the chassis. They have to be strong enough to handle the ride.
Exactly. Muscle mass and strength are the second greatest predictors of lifespan. And the book uses a very specific proxy for this, which is grip strength, tested by seeing how long you can dead hang from a pull-up bar.
2 full minutes is the gold standard, right?
Yeah, because it's biologically impossible to have a strong, robust upper body without a crushing grip. But strength matters for a much more urgent reason for older adults, which goes back to that terrifying stat we opened with.
Fall prevention. We usually just view falling as a clumsy accident, but for a frail, older adult, it's a systemic trauma.
It is the event that ends their independence. And preventing that fall requires power and reaction time. When a 30-year-old trips on a sidewalk, they don't smash their face. Their foot explosively shoots out and corrects their balance.
Because they have type 2B fast twitch muscle fibers, right?
Yeah.
Explosive power.
Yes, and the tragedy of aging is that if we don't subject those fast twitch fibers to heavy resistance training, they are the very first things our body cannibalizes.
So a 75-year-old trips, the brain sends the exact same panic signal, but the fast twitch fibers just don't have the explosive power to catch them in time.
Exactly, the chassis fails. Plus, muscle acts as a massive glucose sink. It safely absorbs blood sugar, which prevents metabolic diseases like diabetes.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 5. Start practicing the farmer's carry.
Just walking while holding heavy things.
Yes. Grab 2 heavy dumbbells or even just heavy grocery bags and walk for a minute. It builds grip strength, core stability, and muscle mass all at once. Anyone can start doing this safely.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 6.
Key takeaway number 6 covers the tactical pillars, nutrition and sleep. Because building that muscle armor is impossible if you don't give your body the raw materials.
And what I love about this is that Attia completely sidesteps the toxic wellness industry diet wars. No vegan versus keto debates.
Right, it's just biology. Nutrition boils down to 2 mandates.
Yeah.
Energy balance, don't eat more calories than your engine burns, and getting adequate protein.
Because protein is purely structural. It's the bricks. If you don't eat enough protein, your body still needs amino acids to keep your vital organs running, so...
It literally cannibalizes its own muscle tissue to survive. You are biologically eating your own armor.
And that structural repair can't happen without the second pillar, which is sleep. The metabolic cost of bad sleep in the book is terrifying.
Oh, it's brutal. They highlight a study where healthy young people were restricted to 4 hours of sleep a night. Within 10 to 14 days, their insulin resistance worsened by 50%.
Half of their ability to safely clear blood sugar vanished in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because chronic sleep deprivation locks your nervous system in fight or flight. High cortisol blocks insulin, and you miss the deep sleep window where your brain produces crucial hormones like testosterone.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 6. Front-load your daily protein.
Like having it first thing in the morning.
Exactly. Aim for 30 grams of protein at your very first meal. It halts the muscle breakdown that happens overnight and stabilizes your blood sugar for the day. It's a tiny dietary tweak you can make tomorrow.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 7.
Key takeaway number 7. The absolute necessity of emotional health. This is the final crucial pillar.
And Attia is incredibly vulnerable here about his own rock-bottom struggles, isn't he?
He really is. Because, look, you can have a perfect VO2 max, you can carry the functional muscle mass of a decathlete, and meticulously weigh your protein. But if you are internally miserable and consumed by anger,
then your marginal decade is basically a highly functional purgatory. You know, you've optimized your body just to extend a miserable existence.
precisely. Attia's relentless perfectionism nearly cost him his family. He had to engage in profound introspective work and therapy to completely reconstruct his internal monologue.
Because you can't be a net positive to your family if the voice inside your own head is toxic.
Right. And what's fascinating is that while physical decline is a biological tax of aging, emotional health defies gravity. If you put in the work, emotional health can truly compound and improve like fine wine as we age.
It really is the bedrock of the entire endeavor.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Well, wait, you're the expert. What's the habit?
Right. Practical habit number 7. Audit your internal monologue.
Just paying attention to how we talk to ourselves.
Exactly. When you make a mistake today, notice what you silently call yourself. If you wouldn't say it to a dear friend, you cannot say it to yourself. It's the first step in emotional repair, and it costs $0.
That is incredibly powerful. All right, let's briefly summarize our deep dive today. We covered 7 key takeaways, starting with ditching the reactive medicine 2.0 mindset for a proactive medicine 3.0 approach.
We talked about squaring the longevity curve and defining your marginal decade so you don't end up trapped like Tithonus.
We learned to train for the centenarian decathlon instead of just mindlessly exercising.
We established that VO2 max and fast-twitch muscle mass are the ultimate longevity drugs to prevent a catastrophic fall.
We cut through the diet noise to focus on protein, sleep, and avoiding muscle cannibalization.
And finally, we highlighted that extending your life is worthless, without the emotional health to actually enjoy it.
And along the way, we built 7 practical habits: auditing your blood work, visualizing your marginal decade, listing your 10 decathlon tasks, adding zone 2 cardio, doing farmer's carries, front-loading protein, and auditing your internal monologue.
It's a complete scientific blueprint. Medicine 3.0 is about aggressively cultivating a life of physical capability and emotional fulfillment. You are the sole architect of your marginal decade, but the foundation has to be poured today.
If you enjoy learning from the world's best medical and health books, subscribe to Mosaic Health 40+ Tip.
Just a quick reminder, this is for educational purposes only. Always consult qualified healthcare professionals for personal medical advice.
This episode was inspired by Outlive by Peter Attia and enriched with the author's interviews, lectures, podcasts, and public discussions included in this Notebook LM project.
Because better health starts with better knowledge.
Books.
Science.
Better health.
See you in the next Mosaic Health 40+ documentary.